Okay, so now we're going to make probably the second most complicated piece out of the whole suit is part A1, part of the ab section. It has 3 different layers to it. There's a center layer in there that gives you this detail along the piece here. So it's sandwiched in between the top layer and the bottom layer, and then you have this cutout spot where you only see the bottom layer right here. So that's what we're going to cover next. Alright, so I've got the pattern pieces, all 3 pattern pieces for A1 cut out, the top, the middle, and the bottom. See, they're all marked as to which one's the top and the middle and the bottom. They're all made out of 2mm foam. And what this will do is, with the bottom piece, I have the middle piece layered in there, lined up, and we have the top piece on top of that. What this will do is, this middle piece inside there will give a little bit of a detail that will show through. It'll curve the top piece a little bit to add a little bit more detail to the whole entire design. So next I will cut these pieces out of the 2mm foam, then curve them up with the heat gun and glue them together. One thing I want to mention is when you're cutting out smaller pieces out of the 2mm foam, the thinner pieces out of 2mm foam, and with more details and angles like this, like these pieces have, this is where you're probably going to want to use the craft hobby knife as opposed to a telescoping blade like you would use on the chess pieces, the larger, thicker chess pieces. So keep that in mind. It's going to make things easier using this guy than the telescoping blade when cutting something like this out. Alright, now we've got all 3 pieces of A1 cut out, the top, the middle, the bottom. Remember with all of your pieces to label them. Label what piece they are and where they relate to and how they attach, especially if you're cutting out more than just one piece of the suit at a time, because it'll make things a lot easier keeping track as to which pieces go where. So now what I'm going to do is I will heat these guys up with the heat gun. I'm going to curve them just like with the chest piece. I'll heat them up evenly, curve them up, and then once they're all curved, we will glue them together. Okay, so now we've got our 3 pieces cut out. We've got our bottom, our middle, and our top piece. So the first thing we're going to do before gluing them together, this middle piece right here, we're going to take a Sharpie and mark this spot out right on the inside here because we don't actually want any glue in this spot. This is going to be an exposed spot, so we don't want any glue there. And so we'll mark that out and then glue these pieces together and then glue the top piece on there. Line up your pieces. Alright, so now we know we want to put glue everywhere through here except on this spot, this area on the other side of the marking. I'm going to get right up to the edge, but don't go past that edge that's marked by the Sharpie. I want this layer to be nice and thin, as with all of our layers of glue that we lay down. Now you'll notice, especially with these thinner pieces, they'll start to curve and deform some as you're laying the glue on them. That's okay. What happens is, as the glue starts to dry, as it starts to cure, so to speak, it will come back to the curved shape that you heat formed it into. So you'll just want to, sometimes you got to wait a little bit longer before putting the pieces together because of that, but you give it enough time and it'll come back to the basic shape that you already heat formed it into. You just got to be patient. Okay. So while that is curing, do the back side of the middle piece. Okay, I am going to let these pieces actually air dry instead of hitting them with the heat gun to speed up the curing process. And then I'll come back, hit them with a second layer of glue, and then we'll put them together. So now we've got 2 layers of glue on the middle piece and the back piece. They have dried out. Now they're nice and tacky. Now it's time to put them together. You want to be very careful when putting these pieces together, since this glue is very tacky, and once it touches a spot, if you're out of line, it is very tough to pull it apart. So you want to be very careful, and probably the best place to start in gluing these pieces together is getting the corner pieces lined up and working your way out from there. So try that first before going before starting from any other spot, and just take your time. Okay, there we have that piece glued on. Now we'll do the same thing. Since there's already glue here, I'm not going to worry about that, but I'm going to put on 2 layers of glue. I'm going to put on 2 layers of glue here and 2 layers of glue on the back side of the top piece too. And then basically do the same thing, line them up and lay it down. All right, now that we have glue on the middle piece, and the back of the top piece. We'll do the same thing. We'll start at the bottom points right here and carefully work our way out in adding the pieces together. So you're going to work your way out, and since there's that ridge from the middle piece inside there, you want to push the pieces in together, and it'll give you that line you're needing there. So now you've got that subtle curve, that subtle detail in the piece there.